cancer. I saved it that far back. I'm not going to take much of your time because this munificent and magnificent production is a real bell ringer. And we have to credit an awful lot of people for it. Look at the backs of your programs, you'll see who the main people are. But the program really represents a great effort, cooperative effort among parents. Thanks for getting your kids so dressed up and for helping with those classrooms. And almost all staff, including custodians, secretaries, and much of the third grade teachers, Mrs. Hinkle, Mr. Green, Mrs. Spector, and there's so many more. You're going to like it. There are a lot of surprises. Thank you for sending your kids to us for 180 days a year. This is kind of a culminating activity at the end of each school year. It's performance time for our third graders, for every single one of them has part in this. And the major designer, the conceptual planner, the mastermind, the task master behind this whole production is sitting at the piano now. Mrs. Joan Hinkle, can you give her a round? Staff members, long, highly commendable years of service to the district are retiring at the close of this school year. This is Lucille Lee, the third grade teacher. This is Jonathan Lapp. They've been teaching your kids for 28 plus years. Let's just give them a round of applause.
E-I-E-I-O, and on his farm he had a cat. that is read and one that repeats what is said will grace our program today.
Somebody waits for me, sugar
Who made a creature so small, no hard to find?
Oh, the tiny cucaracha is a funny little bug. Peeking from behind the woodwork, scooting underneath the rug.
favorite coming up here. You'll never guess why.
Little Jackie Taylor loves
Mrs. Hagel, I must protest. I mean, it's a beautiful program. The kids are doing a very nice job. But you just can't have a program like this without the biggest, the best creature of them all. Can you? Could you do it? You must. You must.
so hopeless. After all, he never heard the answer. I can't. Here's my hope.
Just what makes that little man think he'll move that rubbery plant? Anyone knows that can move a rubbery plant, but he's not high hope. He's not high hope. He's not high hope high enough. High hope. So anytime you think of him, never let him go. Just remember that man. Ooh, there goes another rubbery. Ooh, there goes another rubbery. Ooh, there goes another rubbery plant. Once there was a silly old man, thought he might a hole in the dam. So to make that man, he had one hand and but he had high hope. He had high hope. He had high hope high enough. High hope. So anytime you feel that, just remember that man. Ooh, there goes a million kilowatt. Ooh, there goes a million kilowatt. Ooh, there goes a million kilowatt man. So keep your high hope. Keep your high hope. Keep your high hope high enough. High hope. So come and step to work. Every person, every time you go out. Ooh, there goes another robber. Ooh, there goes another robber. Ooh, there goes another robber.
Another fine job by the mouse. You, but your head's good.
battery in the case. I ran out of one battery. I'm glad I brought along another battery. You do it, Say, John. Now, here are a couple of my boys right there. Come on, you guys. Come on. Stand out there so I can see you. Guess who that is over there? That is Daniel. Watching you, Dan. You can't hear me, of course. There he goes. There goes the other one. Bye, boys. Behind all those bodies is Joan. As I continue to trip over my machine. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get up there. Almost. You see the fingers? I saw the fingers that time. Oh, I think I'm going to put this away for another year. Put these away. The end? Or the end? Okay, you want a little more, right? There we go. Well, John, my boy. He's trying out for Superman. Say, John, why don't you go see where Daniel is? Well, we'll go look for him. I prefer to find him. Well, this is it. Another program has come to an end.
Well, say, splendid.
Oh, they'll probably turn into another RSR fiasco.
I've told you before, that was unique.
Please, God. She ought to have known it was fatal.
Who?
Joan. Wanting to get things straight. Oh, well. Good night.
Right.
I love Berlin. I walk about it day and night. You're absolutely anonymous. I don't think I've ever been so free. I can turn up my coat collar, walk about the streets, and be sure that no one knows me. It has great power. Don't you feel it has great power?
Not sure.
That's why I want you to meet Shader.
Who's he?
A minister of state. He's quite young, about your age. Look, you really must forget your preconceived ideas. He's not a bit stuffed. Come on.
Not sure I like it here. Quite sure you wouldn't. Love, Lewis.
You are required to attend an interview at 2:30 in the afternoon of Wednesday, the 10th of May. You are required to attend an interview at 2:30 in the afternoon of Wednesday, the 10th of May.
Roy tells me you're a social democrat, Mr. Elliot.
In your terms, Dr. Shader?
We thought them nice, harmless people. They gave us very little trouble.
We noticed.
I don't think that Lewis is harmless. His politics are the only burglar thing about him.
I'm sure we shall find much in common. Tell me, do you really think England will go to war to maintain the balance of power?
I think we should.
Why, please?
Because no one is fit to be trusted with power. Any man who's lived at all knows the follies and wickedness it's capable of. If he doesn't know it, then he's not fit to govern. And if he does know it, he knows also that neither he nor any man is fit to decide the fate of a single human being, much less a continent.
You do not think highly of man.
I am one.
So then, let us suppose that we have to extend our frontiers, Mr. Elliot. You go to war, then what happens? Can you fight one? You're not a united country. There are many in England who like us. Oh, yes, they see our faults. but they like us.
It doesn't exaggerate the effect of disunity in England. After all, opinions can be altered very quickly in the modern world.
You are talking about propaganda.
It can be very effective.
My dear sir, it's our national speciality. Indeed, if we were to entertain you here for a few years, well, a few months even, I guarantee you would accept without question things that you now find incredible or intolerable.
No, you are wonderful people. You're brave, you're gifted, you might really found a new civilization. But you're also mad.
You drink too much, Roy.
You can slant the facts till you're blue in the face, but you'll never get people to believe whatever you choose.
Perhaps you should take your friend home, Mr.
Your
Elliot.
treatment of the Jews, for instance. Why do you need it? It gets you nowhere. It's insane.
My dear Roy, you're in great danger of abusing my hospitality.
But sometimes I think that whatever else you achieve, it will be enough to condemn you.
Mr. Elliot, I rely upon you to make sure that our impetuous young friend gets home safely. Gentlemen. Heil Hitler.
Heil Hitler! There doesn't seem to be a place for me, does there? In this world, never mind about the next. Oh, well.
Hey, driver. Let's get you to bed. All right.
I suppose so. Louis,
What is it?
I'm in a pretty bad way.
What's the matter?
I'm worried about this interview.
Thought you wanted the job.
I do.
So what's the problem?
The other day, you were in Germany. It was in the afternoon, just after the post had come. I realized I'm going to get in the same state as I did over RSR. It's bound to happen. You do see, don't you? It'll be just the same kind of trouble, and it'll drag me down day after day.
Maybe trouble, but it won't be the same. How many times do I have to tell you there's only one R.S. Robinson?
There's only one me. I mean, I was responsible for that whole fiasco.
I truly don't think so. In those circumstances, Robinson would have behaved exactly the same to anyone.
I doubt it. I've never done any good. You must understand, as soon as I get amongst new people, I'll be in the same trap again. I tell you, I realized it that afternoon, just after the post had come. And I tell you, in that same second, I felt something go in my brain.
Oh, it's an old symptom.
No.
You haven't complained of pains like iron bands pressing into your head.
This time they hadn't gone away.
All right, how did they begin?
I told you. I felt something go in my brain.
Well, we both know you didn't.
But
It may have felt like that. You're probably afraid it did. Do you know how many of your fears have turned out to be nonsense?
this time it's different.
How exactly?
something go in my brain. Truly, I did.
It isn't getting us anywhere. What you need is a good night's sleep. Yeah. I'll stay here till you go off.
Thank you.
See? You'll be laughing about this in the morning.
90% angst.
That's the style.
In history, success is the only virtue. Everyone will forget the black spots if the National Socialists succeed. And there's every chance they'll create a brilliant civilization.
But at what human cost?
Men need to plan on a superhuman scale.
I do believe I hear the devil quoting scripture.
The gospel according to Karl Marx, doesn't it?
He didn't seek to impose his solution.
Because he thought it was inevitable. He was wrong. The world won't just become one. Only the Russians or Germans can do it, your lot or mine. They've got the energy for revolution. It comes from very deep. It comes from a new set of men seizing power.
I'll go that far with you, but that's where any comparison between them ends. And I speak as one who abominates both regimes.
They've both done dreadful things. Men in power always do dreadful things. But that sheer Promethean force might still create something wonderful.
In Russia, certainly. Not in Germany.
In either. The truth never lies in the middle, Uncle Arthur. One had to make a choice between extremes. And that's why I chose them. They're crazy, of course, and you've got to be crazy to be a revolutionary. But they're human.
Human?
Yes, human. That's why I chose them against the Russians. The communism in theory is wonderful, but in practice, it's the driest and most sterile of creeds. Why, it actually pretends it's easy to make men good.
God, you can be infuriating.
You need to read St. Augustine, but then he knew something about life. It's darker than the communists admit. Darker and more complex, but it's also richer. They can't feel anything but moral indignation. That's why I can't be doing with them. They're not human. But at least the Germans admit to fallibility.
For God's sake, then, you're so bloody naive. If ever there was a time to keep your head,
Are you
it's now.
keeping your...
I've been charitable so far. I think the truth is that you have totally succumbed to flattery. To being somewhere where you're an acknowledged success at last.
You used to know me better than that.
I wonder whether I ever did.
I happen to have what promises to be an intriguing bottle of Malvoisie at exactly the
You
right...
think I'm dangerous? You and your friends are much more dangerous, believe me. You know you're right. It's never crossed your mind that you could be wrong. And you're proud of your complacency, dear God. Dear me.
Mr. Elliot, I wish to ask you a personal question.
Lady Muriel?
I do not wish to pry, but I must ask you this. Have you noticed anything wrong with Roy?
He's been under a good deal of strain.
Mr. Elliot, I'm a great believer in woman's intuition. Men are more gifted than we are intellectually, but it takes a woman to see that a man is trying to hide some secret worry. I believe that Roy is.
He's very unhappy.
Is it because of some woman?
I don't think so.
We must try to put our finger on it. Does he know that I would do anything to help him?
I'm quite sure he does.
Oh, I'm very glad to hear that. I should like to have told him, but there are things one always finds it impossible to say. I tried to get him to confide in me last night. I used a little finesse, and then I asked him straight out. Oh, he put me off. I know men like to keep their secrets, but there are times when it's better for them to talk. If only they'd see it. It's so difficult to make them, and one feels that one is only an intruder.
There is one thing I can do, Mr. Elliot. I can ring up my daughter Joan. She knows Roy better than I do. Perhaps she can discover what's wrong. And between us, perhaps we could assist him.
I'm not sure that's wise, or very fair to her.
Mr. Elliot, you must allow me to judge when to talk to my daughter about a mutual friend. My family has been brought up to face trouble.
Come in.
Joan. Hello.
Mother's worried about you.
Well, tell her she needn't be.
Who are you fooling? Something's wrong, isn't it? I mean, I can see. What are we going to do about you?
Look, you're better off without me.
I wish I could believe that. I suppose that's the cry of every jilted woman down the ages.
Only the nice one.
Don't! I want you to love me, not to like me. God knows how I ever attracted you in the first place.
You're an attractive woman.
What?
No, hold on to that. I'll never forgive myself if I've ever made you doubt that. I came to you with admiration and desire. It was only afterwards I came to look to you for hope. As someone who might take my hand and lead me out of the dark.
I do believe I understand you. You told me so.
You saw some things about me more vividly than any woman I've ever known. Others I hid from you. Because I was trying to hide them from myself, I suppose.
You couldn't hide your bouts of black despair.
No, but I let you believe they had a cause, and one which together we might cure.
That's not true anymore.
It never was.
I never really understood your search for God.
It's an alien concept for a radical freethinker.
Yes. Oh, no. I could imagine the need. It was that you didn't seem to want to be at one with, well, him. More I don't know. You hear of people finding themselves in God. With you, it was as though you wanted the authority, but to surrender to it, to annihilate yourself, to lose yourself eternally. I could even understand that, sort of. But when you gave up trying...
Pretending. I was pretending. I could have gone on pretending well enough to have taken you in. I've done that before. I could have even have taken in Lewis. I could have taken in everyone except myself and God. And there wouldn't be much point in doing that, would there?
Oh, much better to throw in your lot with the Nazis while you could.
The crooked cross. Yes, you're right. I was clutching at straws. It was my final grab. And it's left me with nothing. Or with myself.
Won't you even let me comfort you? At least let me try.
Understand. I hate myself. I brought unhappiness to everyone I've known. I'd be much happier if I'd never lived. You can't deny it.
My life would have been different without you. Happier. I prefer it as it is.
Oh, my dear.
I should still like to help you, if I can.
No. I've never felt free with you. And it would get worse.
Why?
I don't know. Of all women, you are my most equal. It's somehow... I can't be spontaneous with you. Somehow... You've invaded me. You haven't let me lose myself.
That's the one thing I wanted to prevent.
That's the one thing I wanted. And I want it still.
and the very qualities I admire in you. Your strength, your warmth, your dogged devotion, above all, your understanding. They keep bringing me back to the self I long to throw away. But I couldn't say this unless I know you'll be better off without me. I'll never, ever find anyone like you. But the bitter truth, and you must bring yourself to believe this, is that I am, and I shall be, better off without you.
It's like musical chairs, isn't it? Fains I get caught standing. I don't tell. Hey, they can't take your life.
I had to wait. I started to sweat. I felt sick. I thought I was going to faint. I was literally shaking. I couldn't go through with it. I ran away. Before my name was even called, I panicked and ran away.
You know perfectly well this job's within your capacity.
That's just it. I don't anymore. It started when I got that letter. RSR. New people. Out of my depth. Crack up. Bring everything down in ruins about my head.
It was time and time again.
Do you think I don't know? Do you think I haven't tried? I make lists of the pros and cons every day. The pros always win, and it doesn't make a blind bit of difference.
I told you before, worse things have passed, and so will this.
Will it? I've got no purpose. You've got a purpose.
Is that why you dragged me away from work again today?
Unkind.
True?
Untrue and unkind.
This isn't only difficult for you. It's impossible for me.
You've done all you're capable of.
Bidwell? Now run over to the bursar's office and get me another dozen invitations. To the college cricket match and ball, you fool.
Devil have you been?
Don't be cross. I've been walking along the river.
All day?
All night and all day. Down to the docks, past Greenwich and along the mud flats.
I can see that.
It was lovely. Oh, I've got a present for you. I found it.
What is it?
A Nuremberg token. It'll clean up beautifully, you'll see. And so, believe it or not, shall I?
You're right. It has cleaned up beautifully. So for that matter have you.
I don't know whether I can go on. You know, with this job. They're giving me another date for an interview. No point going on if it's too hard. I've got to go on. Can't I tell them that I shan't be able to come?
If you get out of this, you'll get out of everything. Just curl up into yourself, won't you?
Probably.
That's why I've got to go through with this, even if it means a certain amount of hell.
It's a bit Puritan, isn't it?
I don't care what it is! You ought to go through with it.
I knew you'd say that.
And why did you ask?
Sorry to cause you so much trouble.
His bouts pass.
Doesn't make them any better at the time, or any less of a bore. What's this?
Oh, Roy's asked me to the college cricket match and ball.
But not me. Wonder why.
Would you come?
Never in a million years. Why don't you go, though? You've earned a break. Go. That's an order.
Will you be all right?
As all right as I ever shall be. Besides, you might do some good there. Don't drink too much.
Rosalind, what are you doing here?
Once Roy was out, you don't imagine I was going to go on watching that boring cricket match, surely.
Well, I thought you were supposed to be marrying Ralph Udall.
I mean to. Can't you see me as the vicar's wife?
No.
In the fullness of time, I shall settle down so that you wouldn't believe it. But I'm not going to fool myself. After Roy, other men seem so dreadfully dull. So I jumped at the chance of going to this ball with him.
Asking for trouble.
Wrong. I was asked. You needn't worry. I'll see Lady Muriel doesn't find out. I don't want her bruiting it about all over Boscastle, and I won't have Ralph upset. Besides, a husband in the hand is worth two in the bush.
That's not what I meant.
Why do you want to stop me and Roy having some fun? It might take him out of himself. He's been going through one of his bad patches, hasn't he?
Which is precisely why I don't want you to...
Don't be so avuncular, Lewis. It'll do him good to have a night on the tiles. And you needn't worry. I am not going to gate crash on your aristocratic dinner party. In fact, you can walk me over to my hotel and let the Byzantine Bidwell get on with laying the table.
A pleasure.
Well, Roy, I must say I was not best pleased by the critical reception of the book you wrote with the master.
No, is it out?
Yes, and I could wish it wasn't. The reviews were distinctly flattering about you.
I think better of them if they hadn't been so grossly, really fantastically unfair to the master.
They were really very unkind about Burnham.
Unkind? They must be all too old to read, or too venal to see honestly. You know, one of them had the effrontery to malign the accuracy of Vernon Royce's work. How dare some hired hack malign the reputation of a better man than himself?
Why did he do it, one wonders?
Because all men are swine.
Carry on, our boy. I'd say that was rather a sweeping condemnation.
The only wonder is the decent thing that they manage to do now and again.
You really ought to try this excellent pudding, Hugh.
You ought to know by now, Helen, that I'm not much good at puddings.
Well, this has always been considered a college speciality. You should try to serve it as a tricentenary feast.
If you please, Lady Muriel, if you please. And I fancy a Muscat de Baume de Venise would accompany it perfectly.
I do hope the college will begin its preparations in good time. 2 years is not long. You must be ready in 2 years' time.
2 years? 2 years? My God, we'll be lucky to be alive in 2 years' time. And you're seriously sitting there planning what we're going to have for pudding. I'm sorry, I can't take any more of this.
I know just what you're feeling. We all feel exactly as you do. But it's no use anticipating. One must go on and trust that things will get better.
Just so, Lady Muriel. Think as well of me as you can.
I thought the man was going to make an exhibition of himself.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, come now, Hugh. We've all sat through dinners where we wanted to throw every scrap of crockery on the floor.
Yes, and we've had to hide it so as not to embarrass our guests. I like that young man, I always have done. But one will have to think twice about accepting his invitations if one's to be embarrassed like this.